Revealed. You know, I was about to, I almost tripped up on the words. I had to like read your shirt real quick.
Silence speaks, secrets revealed.
Are you guys selling the shirts anywhere?
Maybe later. Maybe later. Right now, we just got them for us, but you know, you're part of the crew at this point, so we should get you one anyway.
Absolutely, but if somebody also wants to support the initiative.
Yes, we will definitely be trying to put them out so that we can do that. And it is DVAM, so they need to be wearing purple too.
Nice, nice. All right, so good afternoon. In just a minute, we're going to be speaking with them for the after show, but first, today is episode 5. You want to give me a little prelude on what's going on in episode 5?
No, not really. It's going to speak for itself.
I almost got it. I was just about to get a spoiler out of something, but
almost.
All right, I guess I'm going to have to listen.
Yeah.
All right, this is Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed.
Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse. It contains subject matter that may be triggering for survivors. Discretion is advised.
Children will show signs of abuse in a variety of ways. They will often display an opposite change of behavior. Some may become withdrawn. If they were quiet, they might become loud and aggressive. Younger children may regress. Girls might become hypersexual. Sometimes what they present might not be what it seems. But if there's a doubt, a feeling, there's also the obligation to report and to help.
Time to grade the poems. Let me see. Where is my rubric for the romantic style poem? I hope they are good and nobody plagiarized. Leah's poem, Melancholy Mist by Leah Godet. I am the
mist. I creep as you sleep. I hover where you cover. I am the mist. You insist is the breath of earth, the kiss of angels, laughter of saints. You want to believe in love, in the beauty of me? I am the mist, and I will make you see. Where I clear, you will fear. What I reveal, you will conceal. I circle the head of a king of state as gently as I caress a gray body found too late. I am the mist you will come to hate, though you want to believe in love, in the beauty of me.
Yes, there's something happening between the lines. You can feel it. Act.
Something is going on with this child. Something about her is not right. And know this? Let me get Mom on the line.
Hello.
Mrs. Godet?
Yes, hello.
I am Leah's teacher. I'm calling because she wrote a rather disturbing poem. It should have been light-hearted, but it sounds more like something out of Edgar Allan Poe. She's smart, and in class, she seemed to understand. So I don't...
My husband deals with these things. I'll tell him to call you.
But you
Goodbye, I'll let my husband know.
A third of child sexual abuse cases are identified. Fewer are reported. Trust and believe, then report. Anyone who comes into direct contact with children in a professional manner, such as teachers and coaches, has a legal responsibility to report any sign of abuse.
Thank you for listening to Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. If you or someone you know has been sexually abused, please dial 911 in an emergency or call the Women's Coalition at 340-773-9272 to find out how you can end child sexual abuse.
Wow.
Yeah. Just a little bit, right? It comes out in a lot of different ways. So, welcome to the after show. Let's talk about it. A live call-in talk show to continue discussing the weekly episodes of Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse presented by the Women's Coalition of St. Croix. The stories are fiction based on fact. I am your host, Sheelene Gumbs, and today with us we have Natalie Lewis, administrator for the Office of Intake and Emergency Services at the Department of Human Services. I got her title wrong so many times. Hi, Natalie, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So explain a little bit about what you do first, seeing that I messed up your title 500 times.
What I do is I supervise the overall intake unit. We have units on St. Croix, St. Thomas, and of course we have an office also on St. John. So my job is to supervise, you know, the big picture of intake. And what intake does is that we are the social workers who investigate child abuse and neglect. Our unit is a 24/7 unit, so we're always on call to respond no matter what. And that's basically what we do.
All right. All right, so a few questions, and the phone number, I'm going to get it right, so that Slick is proud of me, 773 FM, 773-3636. Did I get that right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Sound like a professional.
I'm trying to have a good teacher. All right, so what is the procedures for reporting for a concerned citizen?
A concerned citizen can call our office, they can call VIPD and report any suspicions of child abuse and neglect. And the information that they give is basically what they know of the situation.
Okay.
The general meat part of it is like what's going on, what they're seeing, their concerns, they share that with us, and then we pick it up and we investigate the situation.
Okay. And investigating includes going to the homes or going to the schools or anything to that
Yes, we
effect?
can start anywhere. We can start at the school, we can start at the home to find out exactly what is taking place with the family.
Okay. And who are mandatory reporters and how do they report?
Okay, mandatory reporters are the people such as myself, being a professional in the social work arena. I'm a mandated reporter. Doctors are mandated reporters, nurses, principals, teachers, anyone who works with children, childcare people who work in Head Start. So those people who are working in the community and may come upon suspicions of child abuse and neglect, those are the people who are mandatory reporters.
Okay. And how do they report? They just call or?
They can call or they can come in to us. Some people report to the police, some people report directly to us. Some people call 911 and make reports. It all depends on the situation. So that's how reports come to us.
And that's mandated by law, right?
Mandated by law. You can be fined for up to a year and pay a $500 fine if you're a mandatory reporter and you do not report your suspicions of child abuse and neglect or your knowledge of.
How much?
Up to a year in prison and a $500 fine.
Let's repeat that.
Wow.
Wow. And once again, can you list out the type of people that are on this list?
Mandatory reporters, school teachers, policemen, nurses, doctors, myself, social workers, people who work with children, Head Start workers, anyone who is, basically people who are in these positions are mandated reporters.
Okay.
Okay?
So that's $500 and up to a year. So if you know something or you suspect something,
Say something.
say something. Because if they find out,
Or go jail.
if they find out,
Yeah.
that's the alternative.
So make
For
your
a
choice.
year, a whole year.
Wow.
Okay. So what are the limits that DHS has, the intake division has, in being able to assist and to provide services?
Well, we are mandated by law to protect children. So if children are in a situation that is neglectful, that is harmful, that is abusive, we are mandated to protect those children. And sometimes that entails us removing those children from the home and placing them, in a safe place, either with a family member or somebody who is kin to that family. So that's what we are mandated to do. And this is what we do every day, 24/7.
Wow. So I mean, that sounds like if you say 24/7, it sounds like at the coalition, that's a lot of children, and that's a lot of cases.
Yes.
So if you would say like in a week, about how many cases would you all have that would come in that you all will have to deal with? And I'm sure it varies from week to week, but what is an average number?
The average number, I mean, it really depends. Sometimes we have really slow days that go by and it's like there's nothing being reported. And then sometimes it's like we have 2-3 cases in one day.
Wow.
Maybe 3 a.m. I mean, when you guys are sleeping, the social workers are up. So it all depends. So we see more cases that we come upon when school starts.
Okay.
We see a lot of cases like pick up around September, but it's a job that's very unpredictable. So therefore we have to be ready at any time. And a social worker is on call every week.
Okay.
So you guys over at it's DHS, right?
Yes.
All right. So you deal with basically post sexual abuse at this point after the child has had or has experienced this. Now,
Yes.
my question is, what do you guys have in place, or what are your steps after that point? Because we talked a lot about prevention, but we also need to talk about after and the healing process.
Yes, I mean the healing process, the first thing that we do in terms of the healing process is we put services in place for the child and sometimes the family as well to receive counseling. This is something that we encourage for them to do. It's free of charge when we send them for counseling, so nobody has to worry about paying for these services. So that's one of the things that we put in place, and most of the times when the children are removed or have gone through sexual trauma or abusive trauma, they are monitored by another unit. They're not just, the case isn't simply closed, and because of course there's a lot of things that go with it. We have to go to court and prove why we took these children. So there's a lot of things that happen afterward that we ourselves have to put in place, and of course the family is followed for a period of time deemed necessary.
Okay, and this is a call-in show, so if you have any questions, Miss Lewis is here. Please call. Don't wait till afterwards. She's here, so call her, ask her questions so that we can be sure of the things that we need to do. All right, so what are some of the laws that governs the rights of DHS and them being able to help child victims of sexual assault?
Well, we follow Title 14, which covers child abuse and neglect.
Okay.
And those laws entail, of course, the mandatory reporting, what we must do as far as commencing the case. So as we get an abuse or neglect case, it must be commenced, meaning it must be start to work upon in the next 24 hours. So we have that's mandated by law, that we have to respond within a day to any reports of child abuse and neglect. In cases of emergencies that we get, we respond immediately and go out and see what's taking place with that child and that family. Also, Title 5.
Title 5 and Title 14.
Title 14 is mandated reporting.
Okay, and Title 5 would be the crimes.
Yes.
And how many different, I know that you all probably don't do the charging, you leave that to the police.
Yes,
And
we
we'll have
are
them
not the
come on
police
board.
department, so we can't charge anyone with any criminal neglect, any criminal intent. That would be VIPD, and we work very closely with the Virgin Islands Police Department.
Okay. I know a lot of people sometimes get that mixed up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think on a whole, people get mixed up with anybody that's doing victim advocacy services.
Yes.
Because I remember for a long time, people thought we used to arrest people.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that we actually used to go to people's houses, and we can't do that.
Exactly.
You can do that, though.
Yes, we can. We can go to schools, interview children without parents even being aware, depending on what the case is about, because we all know that sometimes children are coaxed into saying or recanting their stories. So we make that first initiative, that first move at times to speak with the child. We can remove children without a court order as well. We don't need a court order. If the emergency is basically based upon, is this child in danger of being harmed or killed, we can remove them. We have that right to do that. We cannot arrest. A lot of people feel like, sometimes they didn't do anything, but we have a limited scope in what we can do, and that's what we do.
Okay. All right. So so for everybody to make it clear, Human Services does not arrest. That would be VIPD.
Yes.
The Women's Coalition does not arrest. We can't even go to people's houses. And I guess like DHS, in order for us to get information, people have to report it to us.
Yes.
We still have to refer out to them. They're the government agency. And the ages of the children that you all deal with, what's the ages?
From 0 to, basically 17. Once you turn 18, then we cannot intervene in any, child abuse or neglect issue. We still refer people if they're having a domestic violence issue or anything like that. We refer people for counseling, but once you are an adult, we only deal with 0 to 17.
Okay, and so what about people that may have different mental abilities?
Also for mental abilities, if it's an adult, we would refer them to our Adult Protective Services unit for services. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so and then they would do pretty much the same thing that you do?
Yeah, they would, do their part as far as, putting in place maybe counseling services, and assisting them with things like that. If they need, rental assistance, they would also do that. So it all depends on what the situation is. Yeah.
Okay.
The Department of Human Services range from the cradle to the grave. We do the whole range.
Okay.
Okay? Our unit just deals with children and families.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you put out that number real quick if anybody's listening? A number that they can call you guys 24 hours?
The number that they can call us 24 hours would be the on-call phone number. Let me see.
Is that the 690-2886?
Let me make sure I give you, because we have several
Oh my.
numbers.
All right,
So let me make
get
sure
your
the
pen and your paper,
on-call
people.
number would be 340-642-6277. And that number is for emergencies.
Okay.
That's 340-642.
6277. Those for-
6277.
Yes, those are for emergency child abuse situations.
Once again, it's 340-642-6277.
So that would be after hours.
After hours.
That's
yes.
the after hours number. So the
Yes.
during hours number would be the
The during hours number is 340-642-1239. That's the 8 to 5.
okay 1239.
1239. Yeah.
All right, my dyslexia is
8 to
acting up.
5.
Okay, so 8 to 5 is 642-1239. After hours 642-6277. All right. I'm watching my time. So one more thing. How do you assist parents? And in the event that some of these children, they're in the homes, they're being abused or neglected, y'all have been called out about it, and you go and the parents also need services, and I know that there's going to be a separation because the kids are in imminent danger, and so you're taking the children because they're in imminent danger. What happens with the parents, or how do you all provide services for the parents, or do you, or is that referred to somebody else?
We do. We put services in place for parents and children so the whole family could receive counseling. Those are things that we put in place. Now, as a parent, the parent sometimes may, feel like they don't need the counseling, they don't have to do it or whatever have you. So it all depends on the situation. But we try to keep families together. That's our goal, to reunify families. But in situations for the intake unit, most of the times we don't end up seeing them back together. The case may have already been transferred to another unit for them to monitor. So our main thing is to secure the family, stabilize the family, put services in place, and if needed, transfer the case for it to be monitored. So that's what intake does. Intake is the brief services unit.
Okay. And you all keep cases for how long before they're transferred?
It all depends on the situation because, a case comes in and it might be really simple on the outside looking in, but it may take, because what our social workers do, they actually investigate the whole family. If an issue is happening, we try to find relatives, we try to find a lot of information, build our demographics up before we would put services in place. We go to schools, we have, sometimes the kids have doctor's appointments, we get physical, so there's a lot of stuff that occurs before a case would be transferred or closed in our unit. It all depends.
Okay, so say there's a victim of child sexual assault. Do you all also take them to the doctor, or?
Yes, we can. We can
Okay.
take them to the doctor, take them to the emergency room, and have them checked out. And we have forms, that doctors complete, letting us know what they found. So in those cases, of course, if something is found, VAPD is called in, and we go from there. So we work hand in hand at times with Virgin Hills Police Department.
Okay. All right. I'm still stuck on the, year in jail for, because and the reason why, I guess, it's like I knew that there was a fine for it. I didn't realize it was that much jail time, I think is what happened. And the reason why is because so much of it happens and nobody says anything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm not sure if it's that people know that's why they're not saying anything, but the children are still getting hurt.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, the children are getting hurt. So if you don't report it, it is a problem.
It is.
So we need to make sure that we report.
We got a phone call. On 95.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ms. Lewis. Can you tell me if any parent or doctor has ever been arrested for not reporting child abuse on St. Croix?
Yes, parents, for over my tenure at the Department of Human Services, I have seen a parent be arrested for having knowledge of a child that was being raped in their own household. So yes.
What about doctors? What about doctors that don't report?
I haven't heard of any, as far as my tenure. The social workers who've been there longer may have that knowledge, but I haven't heard of any doctor being arrested. But parents, yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And how does that, when you have a parent that has the knowledge of, especially if it's and in later episodes, we're going to talk to somebody from HSI, because we're going to get into the human trafficking part, which is something that happens here, though we don't.
HSI is our Homeland Security
Investigations.
Yes.
Right. So, and they're going to come in a later on down in the episodes that we have, because we're trying to bring in as many parties as we can, so that you have the full scope of what happens and what can happen. So when it comes to things like that, and it starts to take on like a federal offense, so you all work with them as well in terms of like when pictures are involved, because you know anything digital becomes a federal crime.
Yes.
So you all work with them as well with that?
Yes, if cases come up, yes, we do, you know, give them our information. They, of course, interview the children. So, yeah, we do get involved if it comes to that point.
Okay. And just so that, you know, you're aware, in later episodes, you know, because we're not doing the spoilers for Slick. But if you have pictures of a child, it's child pornography.
It is.
And that's a federal offense. It's not a local offense, it's a federal offense. So VIPD, though they may help with the investigation, it moves on to another unit. And the U.S. Attorney then gets involved. And so for the younger people that are listening, don't take pictures of people. Don't take pictures of people, don't take videos of people, don't send them around. If they're on your phone, you become liable. So please be aware of the fact that this does not need to happen. We don't need to be exposing people to that kind of hostility anyway, because it starts to breed more hostility, and we don't want that. So your last question, and then we can let you go, seeing that we're nearly finished. If you had one wish for the community when it came to a solution to this problem, what would it be?
That's a huge question. One solution for the community. I would have to say, again, if you even get wind of something, to sum it up for me, it will be like, always follow your gut. Your gut, more than 99% of the time, is always correct. If you feel something is wrong, more than likely something is wrong. So if you trust that instinct, I think if we all trust that instinct more often, we would all be better off, especially our children. So that would be my, my giveaway, to the whole community. If you feel something, follow your gut. Your instinct is telling you something is wrong. Something is wrong.
And then do something about it.
Yeah, do something. Definitely.
Yeah, if you feel something, do something, say something. I like that. Yes. Do something, say something. Definitely say something. Because in the process, our children are hurting.
R95.
Yes, I want to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead. Wait, can you turn on your TV or in the background? Okay, your radio. Sorry about that. All right, so what are you saying now?
As a mandated reporter, how can the Department of Human Services prevent us from being followed or threatened by the parents who we report to them?
Actually, the Department of Human Service can protect anyone, if they report anything, because for us, we don't report who reported to us.
Okay.
We never say, well, so-and-so called us and said that you are doing this to your child or you're doing this to your kids. We do not disclose to the parents who gave us the information. Now, a lot of times, the parents come in and say, oh, I know who it is, and I know it was so-and-so. That's for them to try to decipher. That's not our job to let them know who reported what. All of the information that comes into our office is confidential.
Okay.
Even if you report something to us and say, okay, I'm a mandated reporter and I need to know what happens in this case, we don't have to report anything back to you. Right. The people who commence and go forward with the case, such as VIPD, those are the people who need to know what's going on. We don't report back. Even if somebody calls and gives their name and their number and says, well, I would like to know what happens afterwards, we do not report back to them. When the case comes in, we open a case. It is a confidential case between us and that family and anybody else from any other agency who comes into play. So we don't report stuff back. As far as people being followed, you would have to call VIPD.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
That answers your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
And that is one of the reasons why people don't say stuff, because they're afraid of the backlash. I mean, that's the reason why people don't, report crimes.
She sounded like
what,
she wanted to make a call just now, so let's
yeah,
put out that number one more time.
It's after 5, so it would be 642-6277. That's the emergency number.
Yes.
And the daytime number would be 642-1239.
But you're right. I mean, I think people are always concerned about confidentiality. People are always worried about their name or being called or pulled into things or being even pulled into court and different things. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's actually wonderful that you said that.
Yeah.
That once a report goes out, we leave it alone. What about false reports? Is there any fines for false reporting?
Okay, let me give you some examples of false reporting. Sometimes when people what should I say, break up, disintegrate the relationship, that one or both of them are now the worst parent ever. And we get calls sometimes about, someone not being the best mother or someone not being the best father. So sometimes kids are in situations where they're, basically being pulled apart between two parties who have now decided they don't want to be together. So sometimes we do have false reports, but we still have to, even if we know, okay, this sounds kind of funny, we still have to go and investigate and see what's going on. Now, once we deem it something that is not anywhere near to abuse or neglect, then we just close it out. So most of those cases that come in as false, we screen those out.
Are there penalties for false reports?
Yes, there's penalties as well for false reporting, up to a year in jail and $500 fine.
This year in jail and $500.
So you don't report the year, 500.
You report false.
You report something that's not real.
Well,
same thing.
Yes.
But
and wait, come on, we can't hear you, we can't hear you.
But we
come
got,
on down.
I'm gonna come down here. There's gotta be like though a distinction between if somebody makes a report in good faith, thinking that it's okay,
and there's a difference,
or thinking that it might be right, whereas somebody making a knowingly false. So make that distinction.
There's a distinction between that, because there's people who in good faith, felt like something might be wrong, and those people are never. Those are not the people who get in trouble.
Right. That's the Good Samaritan law.
We thank them. Sometimes we're like, okay, thank you for reporting. We look into it or whatever.
Thank you for your concern.
Exactly. Thank you for your concern. And then there's those malicious ones that come in. So there's a distinction between the two, definitely. People who are just concerned and people who just want to make waves.
And sometimes the appearance of things can cause somebody who's concerned. Because if you see something and you see it happening as a pattern, then all of a sudden it's like, why they always screaming? Why these child always screaming? Not knowing that, it could be, they could be seeing.
The child likes to run through the house and scream.
Right. But, because it's because it happens too often, that concern. I mean, and we find that in domestic violence as well. You know what I mean? And even with people who have been sexually assaulted as adults, they start to watch certain behaviors and they kind of pick up on it. You know what I mean? So, and like Carolyn said, and sometimes you have to make the distinction.
Yes.
Because it's not always malicious. Sometimes you really are worried about this child. Because you may have had past incidences where a child was screaming, you didn't do anything, and the child ended up dead. So I'd prefer to take precaution at this point.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
I prefer to take precaution. And I think we are. So, thank you very much, Natalie Lewis, for coming. We appreciate you so much.
So very welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if we need you, we'll call you again.
Of course.
So you're like a first responder. Can we deem her a first responder?
For child sexual assault. Yeah, for children.
I have that badge now? Okay.
But I'm probably the administrator of the Office of Intake and Emergency Service for little people, for sexual assault for little people.
Yes.
For 0 to 17.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in to Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. And the after show, let's talk about it. The program is funded by a grant from RALIANCE, a collaborative initiative to end sexual violence in one generation, made possible through a commitment from the National Football League. Its contents are solely the responsibility of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of the NFL. And if you need help and you want to talk to somebody, you have the numbers to call. The numbers at the Women's Coalition is 773-9272. Department of Intake in 825 642-1239. After hours, 642-6277.